My 27F partner, 37M, went from successful businessman to alcoholic Instagram creep, and I don't know how to handle this anymore. I need to get this off my chest because I feel like I'm going crazy. 8 years ago, I walked into Blake & Partners Marketing as a fresh college graduate, excited to start my first real job. That's where I met Derek. He was the head of digital marketing and became my direct supervisor. He was smart, professional, and helped me learn the ropes of the industry. I remember being impressed by how he handled difficult clients and managed his team. He never raised his voice, never showed stress, and always had solutions to problems. Several of my female coworkers had crushes on him, but he maintained strict professional boundaries with everyone. I respected that about him. I worked there for 2 years before moving to a bigger agency. Derek and I stayed in touch through LinkedIn and occasional industry events. He left Blake & Partners a year after I did to start his own consulting firm. I watched from afar as his business grew. He landed major clients, hired a talented team, and even bought a beautiful house in an upscale neighborhood. About a year and a half ago, we ran into each other at a marketing conference. We ended up talking for hours at the hotel bar, catching up on everything that had happened over the years. He told me about his business success, and I shared stories about my career progress. Something felt different that night. The professional boundary that had always existed between us started to fade. He asked me out to dinner the following week, and everything just clicked. Dating Derek felt natural, like we had known each other forever. He was attentive, romantic, and seemed to have his life completely together. My friends were impressed by how he treated me, always including me in important decisions and supporting my career goals. 6 months ago, he suggested I move in with him. His house was closer to my office, and we were spending most nights together anyway. The first month was perfect. We would cook dinner together, watch movies in his home theater, and spend weekends planning our future. He talked about marriage, kids, and growing old together. The changes started so gradually that I almost didn't notice them. First, he started taking more business calls during our dinner time. He would step away to his home office, saying they were important client discussions that couldn't wait. I understood. Running your own business means being available when clients need you. Then he started having more late-night meetings. He would come home smelling faintly of alcohol, but I assumed he was just having drinks with clients. That's normal in our industry, right? He started sleeping later in the mornings, saying he was tired from all the late meetings. His appearance started slipping, his usually crisp shirts became wrinkled, and he stopped shaving regularly. I started noticing other small things. Bills would pile up on his desk unopened. He became protective of his phone, always keeping it face down or in his pocket. He stopped inviting his employees over for our monthly team dinners, saying everyone was too busy with projects. Everything fell apart 3 months ago. I was at Whole Foods doing our weekly grocery shopping when I literally bumped carts with Sarah Chen, the marketing director of his biggest client. We had met several times at business dinners, and I genuinely liked her. I asked how their new campaign was going, excited to hear about the project Derek had been working so hard on. The confused look on her face made my stomach drop. She told me they had terminated their contract with Derek's firm 4 months ago due to missed deadlines and poor communication. She seemed uncomfortable telling me this, probably realizing I had no idea. I abandoned my shopping cart and drove straight home. Derek's car was in the driveway, even though he was supposed to be at a client meeting. I found him passed out on his home office couch at 2 p.m., empty whiskey bottles scattered around him. When I woke him up and confronted him, he broke down completely. Through his tears and slurred words, I learned the truth. His business had been struggling for the past year. He lost several major clients due to declining work quality. Instead of facing the problem, he started drinking. He would leave the house every morning pretending to go to work, but would actually drive to different parking lots around the city and drink all day. I was shocked and heartbroken, but still willing to help him through this. Then I asked to see our finances, and the situation got even worse. He had burned through his substantial savings account. He had maxed out 3 personal credit cards and 2 business credit cards. We were $87,000 in debt, not counting his business loans. Still, I told myself we could work through this. People hit rock bottom sometimes, right? But something kept nagging at me about his phone. One night, after he passed out on the couch again, I checked it. What I found made me physically sick. His Instagram DMs were full of messages to models and OnlyFans creators. Not just random comments, but detailed messages about what he wanted to do with them. He had sent thousands of dollars to these women for private photos and videos. One girl, who couldn't have been more than 20, had received $2,000 to fly out and meet him. Thank God she never showed up. He told these women he was single, wealthy, and looking for fun. He sent them pictures of his house, bragging about his success, while in reality he was drowning in debt and lying to everyone in his life. When confronted about the messages, he blamed the alcohol and his feelings of worthlessness. He said he needed validation because he felt like a failure. He promised to stop drinking and get help. He begged me not to leave him, saying I was the only good thing left in his life. I've known Derek for 8 years. I watched him build his business from nothing. I saw how he treated his employees with respect and helped them grow in their careers. I witnessed his kindness to others and his dedication to his clients. Now I'm watching him destroy everything he built, and I don't know how to help him. His family keeps calling me, begging me to stand by him. They say he just needs support and love to get better. My friends think I'm insane for even considering staying. My sister offered me her spare room if I need to leave. I moved out temporarily to clear my head, but I'm torn about what to do next. Part of me wants to believe this is just a terrible phase, that the man I fell in love with is still in there somewhere. But another part of me is terrified that this is who he really is, and I just never saw it before. Update 1, it's been 3 weeks since my original post, and I need to share what's happened since then. After spending a week at my sister's place, I decided to give Derek one final chance. I know many of you advised against it in the comments, but 8 years of history made it hard to just walk away. I went back to the house and had a long talk with him. He seemed genuinely remorseful and desperate to make things right. I laid out strict conditions for me to stay. He had to attend daily AA meetings, find a job, any job to start rebuilding his life, give me complete access to his phone and all financial accounts, and agree to a monthly budget I would oversee. He agreed to everything immediately. He even suggested selling his luxury car to pay off some debt and downloaded a sobriety tracking app on his phone. For 2 weeks, things seemed to be looking up. He showed me his AA meeting schedule and even brought home some sobriety coins. He spent hours each day updating his resume and applying for jobs. He landed an interview at Davidson Marketing, a mid-sized local firm, and was excited about the possibility of starting over in a less stressful role. I started feeling cautiously hopeful. Maybe this rock bottom was what he needed to turn his life around. He was being more open with me, attending his meetings, and even started cooking dinner again like he used to. His family was thrilled, constantly calling to check on his progress and thank me for not giving up on him. Then last Wednesday, I received a Facebook message that changed everything. A woman named Anna reached out, saying she needed to talk to me about Derek. I agreed to meet her for coffee, mostly out of curiosity. What she told me over the next 2 hours shattered any hope I had left for our relationship. Anna was Derek's ex-wife. Yes, ex-wife. In all our years of friendship and dating, he never once mentioned being married before. They were together for 5 years, married for 3 of them. She met him when he was running his first marketing agency in Seattle, before he moved here and started over. According to Anna, Derek's pattern of behavior was exactly the same back then. He had a successful business that he drove into the ground through drinking and mismanagement. When clients started leaving, he turned to inappropriate relationships with other women for validation. He would spend hours messaging women online, sending them money, and lying about his success even as his real life fell apart. Anna tried to help him for 2 years. She got him into rehab twice, paid off his debts, and stood by him through multiple attempts at sobriety. Each time, he would stay sober for a few months before relapsing harder than before. The final straw came when she discovered he had taken out a second mortgage on their house without her knowledge to pay for his drinking and online relationships. The timeline hit me hard. Their divorce was finalized just 3 years before I met Derek at Blake & Partners. He had moved here for a fresh start, carefully crafting a new image and hiding his past. Everything I thought I knew about him was built on lies. I went home that evening determined to confront him. I found him drunk on the couch at 4 p.m. The AA meetings he had been attending? He never went to a single one. He would sit in his car in the parking lot and drink instead. I found dozens of empty mini liquor bottles hidden in his car. That job interview at Davidson Marketing? Another lie. He spent that day at River Creek Casino, gambling away $5,000 in a desperate attempt to win money to pay back some of his debts. He had been withdrawing cash from an old account I didn't know about to hide his drinking and gambling from me. I didn't even give him a chance to make excuses this time. I packed 2 suitcases with my essential belongings and went back to my sister's place. Derek has been calling and texting nonstop since then. His messages swing wildly between apologizing profusely and blaming me for abandoning him when he needs support the most. His family is still pressuring me to go back. His mother called me crying, saying he needs a strong woman by his side to help him through this difficult time. She said I was selfish for walking away when he's clearly suffering. His sister even showed up at my workplace yesterday, trying to guilt me into giving him another chance. The thing is, I finally see the truth. This isn't a temporary crisis or a midlife breakdown that I can help him through. This is who Derek really is, a manipulative alcoholic who has spent years perfecting the art of fooling people into trusting him. He didn't just lie about drinking or messaging other women. He lied about his entire life, creating a false persona that never really existed. I've blocked his number and all his social media accounts. I'm meeting with a lawyer next week to make sure I'm not legally responsible for any of his debts since we lived together. My sister helped me move the rest of my things out of his house while he was passed out yesterday. I feel like such an idiot for not seeing through his acts sooner. All those years of friendship, and I never knew the real Derek. I guess sometimes the people we think we know the best are actually complete strangers. Update 2. 2 months have passed since my last update, and I can't believe how much worse things have gotten. I thought I had seen the worst of Derek, but I was so wrong. After I blocked him on everything, Derek started a social media campaign to paint himself as the victim. He posted long, emotional stories about how I abandoned him in his darkest hour. He wrote about how he supported my career for years, implying he was the reason for my success. He even posted old pictures of us from work events, talking about how I betrayed years of friendship over his temporary struggles. His posts gained traction in our local marketing community. People who didn't know the full story started sending me judgmental messages. Some even suggested I was heartless for not standing by someone who had helped shape my career. I stayed silent, believing the truth would eventually come out. And boy, did it ever. Last week, I received an email from Marcus, who worked as a senior account manager at Derek's firm from 2020 to 2022. He had seen Derek's social media posts and felt compelled to reach out. What he revealed made my stomach turn. Derek's business had been failing long before I even started dating him. Marcus shared emails and documents showing that Derek had been running what amounted to a Ponzi scheme for at least 4 years. He would take large deposits from new clients, promising ambitious marketing campaigns. Instead of using that money for the promised work, he would use it to partially pay off old clients who were threatening legal action over undelivered projects. When clients would complain about missing deadlines or incomplete work, Derek had a whole system of excuses ready. He blamed technical issues, staff turnover, or vendor problems. He would then offer small refunds or additional services to pacify them, using money from newer clients to fund these appeasement attempts. Marcus shared screenshots of drunk emails Derek would send to his team at 3 a.m., making impossible promises to clients or completely changing project directions. There were incidents where Derek showed up drunk to client meetings, playing it off as being tired from overwork. Several employees quit because they couldn't handle covering for his erratic behavior anymore. The most shocking revelation came from Derek's former accountant, who reached out after seeing Marcus's evidence circulating in industry circles. She had quit 2 years ago after discovering Derek was falsifying financial reports to secure business loans. He had been showing banks and potential clients fake revenue numbers while actually operating at a massive loss. All this was happening while Derek was portraying himself as a successful business owner to me and everyone else. Those client dinners he claimed to attend? Many were fictional. The late-night business calls? Often just him hiding in his office, drinking and messaging women online. The facade began crumbling faster after these revelations. More former employees started speaking out. Clients began comparing notes and discovering the extent of his deception. All those times he claimed he was working late or having important meetings, he was actually juggling lies and trying to keep his scheme from falling apart. I learned that his drinking wasn't new either. Former employees shared stories of finding vodka bottles hidden in his office as far back as 2019. He would spike his coffee during morning meetings and keep alcohol in his car for client lunches that never actually happened. The professional reputation he claimed I was destroying? It had been built on lies and manipulation. The successful business he accused me of abandoning? It was a house of cards that had been falling for years before I even entered the picture. His family has gone surprisingly quiet since these revelations. I heard through mutual friends that they're in shock, finally seeing the extent of his deception. His sister, who had been so quick to guilt me about leaving, hasn't posted anything defending him since the truth came out. Derek has changed his tune too. Instead of painting himself as a victim, he's now claiming he's seeking help and taking responsibility for his actions. He even posted a long apology on LinkedIn, admitting to some of his mistakes while conveniently leaving out the more serious fraud allegations. I feel like I'm watching a movie about someone else's life. How did I miss all these red flags? How did I not see through his elaborate lies? Then again, he had fooled experienced business people, banks, and countless clients for years. He was a master manipulator who had perfected his act long before I came along. The hardest part is accepting that the Derek I thought I knew never really existed. He was a carefully crafted character, played by a troubled man who had been running from his demons for years. I'm just grateful I got out before getting any more entangled in his web of lies. Update 3. It's been 6 months since this nightmare began, and I finally feel ready to share the last chapter of this story. After my previous update, things escalated quickly for Derek. Remember those fraud allegations? Well, they caught the attention of more than just the marketing community. One of his former clients, a national retail chain, filed a lawsuit against him for fraud and breach of contract. Their legal team dug deep into his business practices, and what they found triggered an avalanche. Within weeks, 5 more clients came forward with lawsuits. The total amount he defrauded from clients over the years topped $300,000. But that wasn't even the worst part. The investigation revealed he had been using client funds to fuel not just his drinking and online relationships, but also a gambling addiction none of us knew about. The police got involved when they discovered he had been taking out loans in his employees' names. He had enough personal information from HR files to open credit cards and take out small business loans using their identities. 3 former employees discovered their credit was ruined because of loans they never knew existed. Derek's family finally stopped defending him when the criminal charges were filed. His mother, who had been so quick to call me selfish for leaving, sent me a long email apologizing. She admitted they had enabled his behavior for years, always believing his excuses and covering for his mistakes. His sister even reached out to my workplace to apologize for her previous behavior. Last I heard, Derek was facing multiple criminal charges for fraud, identity theft, and embezzlement. His lawyer is trying to negotiate a plea deal, using his alcoholism as a mitigating factor. But given the amount of money involved and the number of victims, he's likely looking at serious jail time. As for me, I've moved to Boston for a fresh start. I got an amazing job offer from a tech company here, with better pay and opportunities than I had back home. My sister helped me find an apartment, and I'm slowly building a new life away from all the drama. The whole experience changed how I view relationships and trust. I've learned that someone's reputation and past achievements don't guarantee their character. Derek had everyone fooled: his family, his clients, his employees, and me. He maintained this elaborate facade for years while systematically destroying everything around him. He still tries to contact me through fake social media accounts. His latest message claimed he's sober now, working as a janitor at a local gym, and trying to make amends. He said he's attending daily AA meetings and wants to pay back everyone he hurt. But I've learned my lesson about believing his stories. My friends back home keep me updated on his situation. Apparently, he's been banned from working in marketing or handling client funds in any capacity. His house was foreclosed on, and most of his assets were seized to pay back his victims. He's living with a cousin now, waiting for his court date. Sometimes, late at night, I still think about the Derek I thought I knew. The successful businessman who mentored me at my first job. The friend who supported my career moves. The partner who talked about building a future together. But that person was a carefully constructed illusion, maintained by lies and manipulation. I'm sharing this final update partly for closure, but mostly as a warning to others. Sometimes the red flags are hard to see when you're looking at someone through rose-colored glasses. I'm just grateful I discovered the truth before getting married or financially entangled with him. Life goes on, and I'm doing much better now. I'm focusing on my career, making new friends in Boston, and learning to trust my instincts again. As for Derek, he made his choices and now he has to live with the consequences. I've made peace with the fact that you can't help someone who doesn't want to help themselves. This will be my last update. Thank you to everyone who supported me through this difficult time. I'm closing this chapter of my life and looking forward to writing new ones.